The unsupervised and accidental science experiment of life on Earth has spiraled drastically out of control ever since mankind became the dominant species and declared themselves king for a day. But thanks to their narcissistic sense of self-awareness, their territorial bloodlust, their sexual obsessiveness, and their hopelessly lost logic, it was only a matter of time until things went tits up. And sure enough, after a mere 6.5 million years on their hind legs, it would appear that the human race may have prematurely run its course. Song and dance funny man Michael Jackson has suffered severe life-changing injuries after attempting to break into the death trap home of childhood sweetheart Macaulay Culkin. The eternally youthful Macaulay, whose will they, won't they relationship with Michael dominated the tabloids of the 90s, suspected that something was afoot after spotting the translucent singer sat in a van outside of his house. Macaulay then proceeded to build an intricate series of Rube Goldberg-style booby traps around his home and waited. Later that night, as Michael came creeping through the bathroom window, he slipped on some marbles that had been placed on the sill, landing face first in a toilet full of burning petrol. He was later seen fleeing the scene, his head ablaze, sprinting backwards into the night, and yet he was mysteriously murdered the following day by the doctor in the bedroom with the heart attack. Ever since the public execution of John F. Kennedy, the bullet hole has become every celebrity's must-have accessory. So when fanboy Mark Chapman shoots John Lennon dead outside of his New York apartment, Ringo Starr retaliates by assembling a posse, driving down to Las Vegas and shooting dead 27-year-old rapper Tupac Shakur. On hearing of the death of Tupac, Courtney Love panics and hires a hitman to carry out a suicide-style assassination on BBC Crime Watch presenter Jill D-A-N-D-O. D-A-N-D-O. Yes, Jill Dando's crime scene appears to be a suicide, but Nick Ross and the Crime Watch team will not rest until every stone has been upturned and they eventually unravel the entire sinister and twisted plot. Struggling to come to terms with the death of his work colleague and hell-bent on revenge, Nick Ross flies a microlight aircraft into the side of the World Trade Center, killing himself and no one else. But are these the questions that mankind should be asking as we stumble, lost, blind, confused, dizzy, and sick into what must surely be the final chapter of this ridiculous farce? The words of the story so far float off into the galaxy like the start of a Star Wars film, and the camera pans across to a little blue dot. The planet known intergalactically as the poison air prison planet of Earth, focusing in on the area of Manchester, England, where is Stretford, incarcerated in the clutter of his own home, a bespeckled Mancunian gobshite, suddenly takes a sharp intake of breath and says, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's Flapjack Press shenanigans. It is the launch event of my new book, Read 'em and Weep, and I'm going to be reading bits and bobs from that for you this evening, including this one, which is called Bango's Life. Bango's life like a poke in the eye, isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life like a kick in the windpipe, isn't it nice to be alive? Because you're a sweaty, ugly, fucking disgusting, unbelievably bloody lovely, stinking, wrinkling body and mind, and isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life like a fork of lightning, thunder fucking the ground. Bango's life, oh, wasn't it frightening? We didn't even have a chance to write it all down, how it all started, and who farted, and nobody wants to leave the party with a goodie bag full of nasty surprises, but isn't it nice to be alive? Bango's life, it's fucking relentless, it's colourful, it's fast, and it's loud. Bango's life, and it is not endless, and unfortunately, there's only one way out, but it's Hollywood blood, you know, it's just ketchup. We've seen it in the film, so it doesn't upset us, so don't worry, mummy. I'm desensitized and I barely realise I'm alive. Moody and bad-tempered like a film noir detective. I slick back my devil's horns, I walk amongst you undetected, Beelzebub. The people eater with a grinning mouthful of fangs, but don't think that I can just rewind time back to the moment that life went Bango's life like a punch in the mind. Isn't it shite to be alive? Bango's life like a fist up the shite pipe, isn't it brilliant being alive? And to think out of one spurt of 5 billion sperms, you were the fucker who got there first. Pop goes life into an old sock belly wipe. It's a miracle we survive, and it hurts. Oh, there are no words to describe the migraine that lasts eternal, so go forth and maybe try to not so quickly multiply. Oh, but the bang of life is sure satisfying. Life finds a way without even trying, and then it just dies. But during the meantime, isn't it nice to be alive? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I was anticipating the silence that follows. I've been, performing to a black obelisk that says nothing. I did line up some YouTube sound effects of people booing, but it just kept cutting in with fucking adverts, and well, that's even worse, isn't it? So let me take my coat off, and let's have a look at the magic objects that have been arranged upon the table, shall we? We've got a glass bottle shaped like an AK-47 full of Jack Daniels. I'll get onto that in a bit. We've got another glass bottle shaped like a human skull, which was the prop from my first volume, which we might have a little bit of a look at. Rather piss poor pumpkin shaped like a Pac-Man ghost. It's not out of date. It's fucking Halloween every day in my house. And this is my broken spectacle collection. There's a pair of glasses there from when I was very small. I remember that was a particularly bad day. And with these magic ingredients, all dusted with magpie feathers, if I was ever to die, which I'm sure I will, you can resurrect my spirit by placing the objects in the correct place and then reading the words of this from cover to cover, out loud, backwards, and I will materialize before you in the visage of a flaming hologram where I will perform a set no longer than 20 minutes. I think that's fair. Hang about. Bit warm. I haven't worn braces for about 20 years. Not since I grew out of my brief skinhead period in the 90s. Wasn't a racist skinhead period. But still, I see no changes. All I see is racist braces. And then I went to see my mum the first time in months the other day, and she bought me a pair of braces, which, you know, it's a present, I suppose. So the next day, I like put my braces on, all excited, and obviously the first thing that I said was "Rock on, Tommy," and then I put the telly on, and Bobby Ball had died. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't contributed in any way to the death of Bobby Ball, but I like to think I have. Right, I've got a list of things on the floor to read. Okay, in the first book that I released, there was a letter of complaint to Nestle regarding Roundtree's randoms. And coincidentally, just before this book came out, I ended up with a fresh complaint to make to Nestle. This one was regarding their multi-pack of Rolos, which on the front of the packet asks the question, do you love anyone enough? Now, this is referring to an ad campaign that ran through the 80s and the 90s that said, do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo? Suggesting that Rolos are such a special treat that if you were to sacrifice your last one, that person must be very significant to you. However, that advert hasn't been on the television for, you know, at least 20 years, especially not in this century. And so without that immediate cultural reference, I found these sweets to be very upsetting. And this is the complaint that I've sent to Rolos. Dear Rolo, I bought a multi-pack of your Rolos from Quality Save about 4 months ago, which have subsequently caused me such introspective distress that I have only just begun to feel emotionally capable of sending this message. Initially, I had planned on eating the sweets when I returned home from the shops. Sat on my couch in front of the telly, I opened them, but before I could eat one, I noticed a question on the front of the packaging in a lettering almost as large as the product name itself, asking, do you love anyone enough? My hand that was holding the Rolo I was about to eat slowly lowered from my lips as I whispered out loud to myself the question so as I could truly understand just exactly what it was that the Rolos were asking. Do I love anyone enough? They were not simply asking, do I love anyone? A question already incredibly inappropriate for a packet of sweets to be asking. No, the Rolos were quite specifically asking, do I love anyone enough? A question that most adults won't even begin to contemplate until they have experienced the loss of a close family member and the inevitable feelings of regret that bereavement brings. So to say that the asking of this question was unexpected is a huge understatement. However, after much heartbreaking deliberation, I have concluded that no, I do not or have not yet ever loved anyone enough. The Rolos have forced me to recognize a cold, emotionless wall that I have allowed to build up around myself, intended to protect me from the world, but which has instead left me incapable of ever truly understanding the possibly mythical notion of love. Once the tears subsided, I find myself wondering, why would a company choose to place such a staggeringly melancholic thought in the mind of a customer about to enjoy their product? If it is really necessary of you to collect such data from your consumers, would a phone call not be a bit more appropriate? I understand that an email or social media might come across a little frosty, but to ask such questions via a packet of sweets is frankly outrageous and downright bewildering. The idea of returning to this packet of sweets is still too painful for me to consider. They remain open but uneaten on the arm of my couch, gathering dust. Unloved, you could even say. But in return for my response, which you so bluntly asked for, you could perhaps tell me why. Why was all this pain necessary? What have you gained from this knowledge? What do you plan to do with this information now that you've obtained it? And why are the packets half the size that they were 10 years ago? Sincerely, Thick Richard. I am unfortunately still awaiting a response for that. I sent it on Messenger, didn't hear nothing back. What are you going to do? So, how you all doing? Who's come the furthest to be here this evening? Blah, 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 whatever. So this is a kind of a home with Thick Richard, I suppose, where you may observe my sort of like daily routine. People sometimes ask me, do you actually like rehearse? Do you like, sit there and go through your poems and stuff? And well, actually, yeah, I do. And I've got quite a strict routine. Sorry about that. I thought I was alone. I am alone. What the fuck am I talking about? I have quite a strict routine when it comes to rehearsing my poetry. And so I'll demonstrate it. If any writers out there are wondering about sort of discipline and pacing, stuff like that, this is how I would tend to go about rehearsing a poem. It's all about the rhythm. The pinch, the squeal, the smack, the scream, the slap, the tickle, the laugh, the plea, the bump, the thump, the naked lunch, the over-emotional pump of the blood, the rough, the tumble, the grapple, the thrust, the rush, the muscle, the pull, the push, the grasp, the clasp, the panting gasp, the frantic ask, the faster. Faster. The tension peaks, the flex, the squeeze, the clench, the tease, the sweet release, the stretch, the tremble, the shudder, the fit, the spasm of passion, the bite of the lip, the frenzied rush, the push, the gush, the quiver, the shiver, the flutter, the flush, the fall, the huddle, the wallow, the roll, the hold, the fold, the envelope. That's how I tend to rehearse my poetry. It really does get it into your mind not to make mistakes. And so, yeah, if there's any writers out there wondering, like, my advice to you would be, if anybody ever comes to you sort of suggesting advice about rehearsals or discipline, just tell them to go fuck themselves, you know what I mean? Now, I'm going to celebrate the fact that I managed not to slice through my fucking hand again, which, I did there by pouring myself a little drink. Give yourself a few moments, grab yourself a beverage. I'm not going to lie, it's unusual. It's pretty unusual. So this is the AK-47 bottle supplied to me by the marvellous Rob Stevenson. I need a bit of coke for that. Sorry to leave you. I'm back again. I'm going to read you another poem from out of the book. I was going to put an outfit on for this, and I probably should do, to make things a bit more sort of visually amusing for you. My outfit. This is a poem. It is a liquid love letter. And this is called Dr. Drink. I've taken my glasses off, and now I can't see. I really didn't think this through, but here we go. Cheers, everybody. Are the lights working? Hang on a sec. There. Is that better? I can't see shit. Leaning on the bar like a cartoon gargoyle, hunched over my glass like I'm sheltering it from the rain, heavy black shoulders like the wings of a bad angel, complaining to myself again, when they closed down the tumbleweed factory, 3,500 redundancies, so now I'm off to drown my sorrows like a sack full of cats. I'm going to cartwheel off the wagon and I'm never coming back, and so I pop on Bacardi and my coat, I down my Bacardi and Coke, I roll a smoke and hit the fucking road. Dr. Drink, won't you fix me a prescription and let me chew your ear off while you're poor? I've got no one else to talk to since the devil on my shoulder said that he don't want to know me no more. Dr. Drink, drop me a drop of that highly addictive liquid. Why did they have to go and make poison so delicious? Just trying to kick the habit, me and my imaginary rabbit in a marriage that I'm drinking to forget, propping up the bar as a single tear rolls down the inside of my leg. Dr. Drink, prepare me a beverage. Desperate times call for double measures. I knock them back fast like I'm punching myself, and the shot glasses hit the barroom floor like bullet shells. I've booked an appointment and you know I'm never late. Dr. Drink, you know that you can tell it to me straight. Oh, well, the x-ray shows that you're full of shit, and the DNA test proves that you're a son of a bitch. Dr. Drink, why do I always need a piss? Go and mither the urinal, throw my breakfast in the sink, forget to do my flies, punch the hand dryer, climb inside a toilet cubicle and have a cry, and then I spy a lonely looking lady leaning on the bar, so I slide up to her arm, I check my breath against my palm, and it crackles like a burning log, sulphurous matchstick, cough up a blood clot, gauze up a fistful of lung fungus, a humongous oyster that tastes of bronchitis. I give her a boozy wink as I roll my glass, because I have studied the sound of ice like most men study ass, the little silent silver tinkle, the almost invisible polystyrene squeak, a little avalanche of ice slides into my drink as I try and light a cigarette with a knot tied in it. I would have learnt all these by now, if there were any fucking shows and I'd have been able to go on stage and perform them, but you know, don't blame me. Blah, 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 blah. Then Dr. Drink turns on the charm like a switch, and I crack my whip like a whip with a faint whiff of sick. Oh, well, hello, baby. How do you do? You know, even my shadow can't do what I do. I drop my trousers and show her my new tattoo. It says, don't follow me, baby. I'm lost too. And she looks at me like blood on a toothbrush. I'm a boring her. Why can I never stop talking when I'm as fucked as a popular whore at 4 in the morning? I'm either tight-lipped as a guilty priest or screaming like an extreme fundamentalist. But one of the benefits of getting so plastered is you don't realise that you've been slapped until long after it's happened. I'm mumbling words and jumbling slurs and dribbling and gibbering and hiccuping and talking in burp. I've got the trembling aches, the shuddering quakes. I've got a bad case of vibration whiteface. My skeleton's got a xylophone ribcage, wibbling and quivering and jelly on a plate. Shaking Stevens ain't got nothing on me, baby. I'm just a dumbstruck, punch-drunk, fucked-up, love-struck, drugged-up motherfucking numbskull, wearing my guts down my front like a bad tie and trying to play a stomach pump like a bagpipe. Meanwhile, in the urinal, I've been having me a hell of a time trying to write my name on the wall. You're in for a treat if you stood next to me. The splashback sprays your face like a warm sea breeze. Clink your glass as I dance past in my pants like a pederast teaching a year 3 gym class. Penis flytrap bit my bits, the illicit kiss from Zippy's lips. I tried to brush it off with a nervous cough, but for a moment it felt like the poor thing fell off. I sent a letter of thanks to Armitage Shanks. I wiped my hands on my pants and now I'm off to get tanked. Dr. Drink, could you come quick and help? The people seem concerned about my health. They don't think that I can look after myself. Is there a doctor in the house? Pass the bottle from the shelf. Tell them, please, come quick. I'm sick, Dr. Drink. Can you mix me a preparation? Slip me a snifter of that self-medication. Keep pouring them and I'll say when, and tell my friends that I never want to see them again. Because I'm T-R-O-U-B-L-E. You do not want to know me. Trouble doesn't love me. It tracks me down and hunts me. It stalks me. It hides behind the corner and it jumps me. Trouble drags my family name into the mud. Trouble stamps my reputation into dust. Trouble makes the people turn their faces in disgust. And Dr. Drink saves me. He says, just blame me. Tell everybody that I got you wasted. And Dr. Drink says that nothing's ever going to be okay again. So let's pour pop onto your problems until they go away. And we can watch your silly troubles struggle underneath the bubbles. When Dr. Drink has got you, it feels like one of Daddy's cuddles. He lifts you up onto his shoulders. He pulls you in a little closer and he whispers, if you should ever leave me, I'll come and find you where you're sleeping. I'll stick a sock into your mouth to stop the flow of blood, and I will open your fucking throat. And as I sit here holding this glass, I feel the skeletal grip of Dr. Drink around my hand. He holds me close, won't let me let go. It still feels cozy, even though it feels cold, because I need comfort. I need tons of it. I don't care which direction it comes from. I just need that social walking stick, security blanket, wrap myself up in it. Well, this trend better go out of fashion quick, or else something really bad's gonna happen, kids. When every day's the fucking same, it's better to forget. Dr. Drink keeps pouring them, but I just can't say when. Cheers. I'm assuming there's booing. I can't hear you. Right, what's next on the list? I was going to do another change. Shit, I had a really important prop that I was supposed to get for this moment, and I ain't got it. So tough tip. You're going to miss out on that gag. Right, I'm going to come into a more childish part of the show now, folks. There isn't really any relevance to this. It's just to sort of make things a bit more amusing for you guys. So for this part of the show, I'm going to dress as a lemon. Because these poems are a bit more playful, bit more jolly time. Okay, this is called Sickly Sex. I don't mind sickly sex, although it is pathetic. It goes well with whiskey and lemon and makes me feel better. On the froth, I could produce enough mucus to fill a bucket. A runny nose would look fit as fuck if you could fuck it, although the thought may be enough to turn most people's stomachs. I can think of nothing but as I sweat and grunt beneath the covers. I don't mind sickly sex in lightly shitted kecks. The thought might make you retch, but retching it gets me erect. What else is there for us to do now we've been quarantined by the government for catching an incurable disease? You can keep your poxy STDs. They ain't got nothing on me, babe, because all I need is that filthy dirty, occasionally regurgitating, contagious, outrageous, seriously sickly sex. Cheers. Jolly time. That one's not a tribute to Victoria Wood, but it's written in the style of Victoria Wood. You know, you can imagine her on the piano shuffling around, you know, singing about diarrhea orgasms. So, the first volume of poetry that I published from the marvellous Flapjack Press was Vaudeville. And just before this book came out, Brink, who you've seen at the start of the show, hosting it, the one-man powerhouse who rides the whole horse, he got in touch with me, and he explained rather firmly but fairly that there were several poems in the book that Flapjack Press were not interested in publishing. So to say, you know, I've got quite a lot of material that probably nobody's going to want to put their name to it. So I don't take it personally. But as a treat this evening, I'd like to perform for you one of the poems that was forbidden to be in the first book. Maybe a poem that a more right-wing performer than myself would sit and lament about the days of, you know, well, you can't say that anymore, you know, that kind of tribe, which is true, you know, you can't say that anymore if you've got absolutely no idea between the difference of a stage performance and being a prat in real life. So this poem is dedicated to the Freedom of Speech Brigade, you massive hypocritical fucking twats. Check out my bullshit hip-hop poem. It's all about bitches and mobile phones. You don't know which direction I'm going in, mate. I pushed a bloke through a bus stop window, and if you've turned up here tonight to be seen, tough shit, because everybody's looking at me. I'm motherfucking Quatermass. Pool cue kung fu, bar stool jiu-jitsu, a black belt in no can do. What kind of a fool takes a weapon to a funeral? Quatermass, you wish you never asked. Get back, you bastard. You get slapped like a spastic. You look like an unzipped bag of shit with a face like a drop kebab. The name's Quatermass. You can't trust us. I got hip hop running through my motherfucking veins. Yes, hear what I say. I wish I came from the USA, mate. The UK's gay. $1 million bollocks, baby. I'm the man. Women worship me in the glands that I stand on. I gate crashed your birthday. I shagged your girlfriend. I wiped my dick all over your curtains. You wonder what you've done to deserve it? Fuck you, mate. I'm just that type of person. Quatermass. I'm an absolute bastard. Confidence monster. I can consume twice as much as you, doing a wheelie on a chopper, getting chased by a helicopter. Oh, gobstopper, it's real button, motherfucker. And when I did time for gun crimes, I only did 3 years when it should have been 5. Good behaviour. Kept myself to myself. Did woodwork. Built a bookshelf. No cigarettes. He'll sort you out if you let him have prison sex with your mouth. I'm the motherfucking Quatermass. And I didn't get raped. Don't worry about that last line when you couldn't quite hear what I was saying. That's not important. What's important is that at the start of this year, I thought I had a 2-week-long nationwide, almost sold-out tour. And so I bought 400 fucking copies of this book, only for the tour to go and get cancelled. And I hadn't sold fucking one. You know in that poem when I said I built a bookshelf? No shit. I've got 400 copies of a book that I know every single fucking word to already. If there's one person on this planet who doesn't need this book, it's me. And I've got 400 of them. So as Christmas approaches, right, just remember that every pound that doesn't go to fucking Frey Bentos in the Amazon castle is a pound well spent. Give me a ring. I've got fucking shitloads of these. And to make matters worse, I've also written another book and had it published, which is better than that one. So obviously everyone's going to buy this. I've got 400 copies of a book that I already know. Fucking backwards. Anyway, I'm waffling. Sorry. Buy me book. Okay, I've got friends to meet you now. As it's the child-friendly part of the show, if you could call it such. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a poem called The Bastard, and here to meet you all, it's my friend, the Brat. Hello, everybody. Oh, shit, right, okay, so I did a show called Swear School. Well, me and the Brat did a show called Swear School, pardon you, Brat. And in that show, if you came to see it, you might remember I did a funny little voice for the Brat. He had like a high-pitched sort of, sounded like Sarah Milligan. I'm not going to do that voice anymore because it hurts us. It absolutely ragged my throat raw. There was actually a couple of shows where we nearly had to stop the show. It was fucking silly voice, silly voice. We're not going to do that voice anymore. Also, partly because the Brat has grown up now. He's no longer a child in a school like he was in that show. He's a teenager. Look, he's a obnoxious skinhead with a crude picture of a sort of naked duck on his t-shirt. Smells a bit like mushroom soup, having recently masturbated. And the Brat's grown up, and he has now become the Bastard. And this is a poem that I've written called The Bastard. I'd just like to stress, first of all, this is a poem about this, and not a poem about my real, actual children. I'm not one of those people who just have kids so I can take the piss out of them. You know, it's nothing to do with them. And I am a father. I've actually got children, believe it or not. I am deceptively old, a late bloomer. Puberty for me was like Luke Skywalker's Jedi training. It came about 20 years too late. It lasted about an afternoon. And in the end, I had to fight my dad. So this is called The Bastard, folks. For you, bastard. I built a monster in the shed in my garden made out of garbage and spare parts, a skeletal framework of chicken carcasses, Lego leg and a Meccano arm, pieced together with plasters and safety pins, all encased in a bin bag skin. My biomechanical bastard offspring was built in the image of my own imperfections. His head was a pillowcase full of fag ends, his mind a filthy labyrinth of torment, a rib cage torn from the back of a fucked fridge, a tortured sense of self-awareness, hollow, yellow Kinder Egg eyes, an irrational loathing of his own kind, the ability to picture unobtainable dreams. His lungs were a second-hand soda stream. His genitals were a horrible orgy of torn-up pictures of pages of porn, crudely glued with my own DNA paste and fixed to his crotch with rusty staples, marigold gloves full of Hoover dust, attached to his arms with belly button fluff. And can we just take a moment to appreciate his lovely, delicate little hands? I don't know if they're going to show up on the screen. So gentle. Where was I? Belly button fluff. Inside his insides, a bagpipe stomach filled with bitten fingernails and sugar. His central nervous system was 1,000 tangled headphones. A general nervous disposition like Gary Lineker stares at a crisp. In gormless golden wonderment, before greedily consuming it, Gary destroys the thing he loves and crushes his beautiful thing into dust. And then the bastard spoke, like a clock radio that had suffered several strokes. And it said, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now that his voice is broken, he sounds remarkably like me. In fact, I sound exactly like you. This could probably get a bit confusing. And also, I'm not going to bother with any kind of ventriloquist shenanigans, because it's fucking pointless, isn't it? What, you think he's a real person? Get over yourself. Anyway, we've set the place up this evening, ladies and gentlemen, as a sort of a seance. Don't worry, it's Halloween every day in the town. And what we're going to do this evening, as I looked over the book, I noticed that there was a rather unusual page right in the middle of it that just had a picture of a T-shirt with a photograph of a violent, murderous vigilante print on it. And some of the people buying the book might not realise why that's a necessary photograph to have in it. So we're now going to reveal to you what the relevance of that is. We are tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with the magical objects arranged. We're going to resurrect the ghost of Raoul Moat. Here we go. See you later, back, brat. Ooh, it's the ghost of Raoul Moat, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen. So the idea of resurrecting the ghost of Raoul Moat came from one of those stories, those dinner party question, pointless bollocks. If you could have a dinner party and invite 5 people, living or dead, who would you invite? And I was like, well, that's easy. I'd have Raoul Moat 5 times. And it's like, well, no, you can't have Raoul Moat 5 times. And it's like, hang on a second, we're having a conversation here about resurrecting the dead so we can make their tea for him. I think I'm allowed to have 5 fucking Raoul Moats. So this is the part of the night where I become possessed by the ghost of Raoul Moat. We all can't wait to see him again. Before we get into this, I should probably tell you there is no part of this routine that is funnier than me sending my, what would have been, 7-year-old son into a T-shirt printing shop with a picture of Raoul Moat saying, can I please get this photograph printed on this T-shirt? Anyway, I'm waffling again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to see you in a bit. I'm going to go into a trance now, and I will become possessed by the ghost of Raoul Moat. There we go. Look. Look. What? Why, aye, man, I'm fucking Raoul Moat, and I done gone shot myself in the fucking mouth. Right, I can't really tell whether you can see this or not, or whether I'm too far away, so I'm going to lean in as far as I can. But look, I've come all the way from the darker realm to speak to you through your internet tubes, and I'm fucking 3D. Look at that. I'm all over the place. Anyway, I'm Raoul Moat, and as I'm here, I'm going to do you a poem, and it's about my son, and it's called "Why Is Everybody Always Picking on Me?" And it goes like this. He was a bouncer from Newcastle upon Tyne. Gaza said he knew him, but it turned out he was lying. A convicted criminal known by the police who shot 3 people 2 days after his release, and you're going to get caught, boy. Just wait and see. Why is everybody always picking on me? Raoul Moat, where you going with that gun in your hand? Did you catch a lady messing around with another man? Did you just need a cuddle? Wipe away the tears? Wouldn't you rather go fishing with some chicken and a beer instead of climbing up a tree trying to hide from the police singing, why is everybody always picking on me? Raoul Moat, did it feel like no one was on your side? What's your Mona Lisa smile trying to hide with your big head like a red fucking boiled egg? It's good to see you again, yeah, but let's not forget, you shot yourself and 3 other people in a killing spree. That's why everybody's picking on me. The ghost of Raoul Moat, man. I'm Ganyan, man. I'm Ganyan. See you later. Woo! Oh, what happened? Did it work? I don't know. I've got no memory of what happened over the last few minutes. But that's the fun and games part of the the evening. I'm going to take this ridiculous lemon outfit off, and I'll see you back shortly. Well, I'm not going anywhere, actually. I'm just going to be here. It's very tight, so I can't quite get it off. I am freed of the lemon outfit, and that's that. Right, I'm going to read stuff out of the book. Let me just have a couple of sips. Well, that was quite energetic, wasn't it? I wasn't really, I didn't rehearse that at all. Because you can't do the whole stabby thing with the knife while you're wearing. This gets dangerous. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in here that's more page poetry, if that makes sense to you. Page and stage is an argument that goes on between the two worlds of poetry, and there's absolutely no reason why you should know about that. I actually am a poet in real life, and I didn't even realise this argument existed for a long time. But there's a lot of stuff in here that's, you know, I've never performed it on stage, and I probably never will. I'm not saying that in a depressive way, like there's not going to be any more gigs anymore, but it's just written in that way. I don't think it's hazy. Sorry. The internet makes me hate my friends. It makes me envious. It makes me detest complete strangers I have never met. They send me pictures of alfalfa sprouts they're eating, and I think, how dare you breathe in the same oxygen as me? It is designed to make you feel insecure about your life. It makes you picture competition against people you should like. It's designed to make you focus on the things you won't achieve, so everyone feels they're trapped inside a world just out of reach. But one day I got all bored of always being annoyed, and so I thought I'd take a walk around the real world. And all the things I saw as I went peeping around the corners, watching people from a distance and the habits that they practice in a city full of millions, each and everybody trying to ruin everybody else's day. Scruffy men so lazy they just lay down in the road to sleep. Flat back, looking up God's skirt, smoking and laughing. I saw a policeman pause to light a cigarette for a child. Balaclavaed adolescents patrolling their pack on the park on horseback. Crowds of confused people pointing, screaming at the sky. A superhero in a gas mask sneezing in the face of death while a cloaked villain ties a lady to the train tracks. A drunk, forgotten sports hero scrawled starfish in the street, urinated into his own mouth. Cheap tinfoil androids pulling out their own plugs, committing suicide. A toddler with the face of an old man handing his mother a rose made of wafer-thin ham. A vomiting lady zigzags her wheelchair high speed down the high street to avoid the human remains and feces on the floor. A barefoot doctor with a head for a hat, surrounded by jars full of still beating hearts, sticking heroin pins into the puppet versions of her patients. A retired television presenter hurriedly burying the body of a schoolgirl. A black-eyed laughing prostitute riding a fat crying man like a pony as a pimp pistol whips a politician, and a judge struggles broke back in a giant mousetrap in the background. An old lady picking her nose and letting her guide dog lick the sticky dust off her fingers as she pulls it out of her face. An arm poking out of a rip in a bin bag goes unnoticed in the mountains of rubbish. Everybody's so frantically fighting, it looks as though they may as well be dancing. A driver swerves to hit a busker. A pregnant woman slaps a dwarf. A man in an eye patch punches a waitress. A chip shop owner throws a cup of hot gravy in the face of a regular customer. People eating, people eating, people eating people. And the idea of physically assaulting a stranger makes perfect sense, because to invite anybody at random into the aggressive challenge would obviously be met with a very keen and equal fury. This, unfortunately, was the world. And then I dreamt I missed the boat and I woke up screaming. I dreamt I missed the boat and I woke up screaming. I dreamt I missed the boat and I woke up screaming. I dreamt I missed the boat and I woke up screaming. Cheers. Whatever. I'm a bit annoyed with myself actually for getting that prop. But what are you gonna do? Well, I'll do another one. I've got no idea how long I've been going on for, or whether you like all want me to shut up, or I suppose you just turn it off, don't you, if you're sick of it. This is one of the first poems in the book. This is called Our Diddums. Why did I find you hiding in the library with a dictionary, sniggering at the word sex, legs akimbo in the reading corner with your hand down the front of your kecks and your little corkscrew pecker all gripped in your mitt, getting a sweat on, working the wrist, gritting your teeth, read 'em and weep. The librarian came over as she asked us to leave, led by your ear in the fingernail tweezers, goose stepping in a fountain pen heels, leading a trail of ink from the page to the stage, all the way to the minimum wage. Oh, did 'em. The underqualified doctor with a dicky degree allows you into his surgery and he hands you a book called How to Shoot Yourself in the Foot Without Serious Injury, but the pages are all spunked and torn and it looks like it's written in a language you've never heard before. It holds the answers to all of life's questions and more, but this door is closed to you, my boy. Read 'em and weep. Wipe your tears on its crisp, unfathomable sheets, put the book back on the shelf and just fucking well leave. Oh, didn't. Big fat fucking didn't. Writing lyrics for beginners on the back of my hand, and my imagination withers like a dying plant, but the lack of inspiration might be driving you mad. Writing lyrics for beginners that you'll never understand. Lyrics for beginners, like cutting up a worm with a pair of scissors and then arranged on the page with such precision it's impossible to tell whether you're looking at the end or the beginning. Didn't. So you see, hopefully I will never succeed because you see, poetry probably isn't for me. Writing lyrics for beginners that you'll never get to read because I wrote it and I don't even know what it means. Read 'em and weep. Screwed up sheets and sleepless nights, niggling twinges inside the mind, bad dreams of black parallel lines written into the distance on endless pages of white look like barcodes of psychedelic hieroglyphics. Oh, didn't. Big fat motherfucking didn't. The reek of teacher's coffee breath surrounds the written word. The zombie's hand bursts through the earth, clutching its homework in verse. The pen is mightier than the word, the half-cut writer burps. Temper, temper. Don't get too pretentious, you pompous, nerdy, wordy fucking twerps. In a world where nothing works, we sprint towards our end. Inky fingers with paper cuts. We curse the dried up pen. Read 'em and weep because we believe we should memorize our pages and swap the silence of the library for the silence of the stage. I didn't. Cheers. I've run out of outfits, but I'm just going to put on a coat again and chill it. There we go, ready. Bring on the strobe, whatever the fuck. This, can you see this? It's like full of a fake, really nasty Tabasco sauce. And it started to turn grey. Now, I haven't opened this since the front cover of Vaudeville was taken about 5 years ago. And I'm sure it probably stinks. But it's a nice example of an imitation of death actually deteriorate. Isn't that nice? I'm going to do 2 more and 1 tiny one. Do you know what? I can just have a fucking cigarette while I'm playing it. Smoking on stage, eh? Fuck you. Of all the years I've skipped the school, I've been left with this sense that there was some secret life lesson from which I was absent. Is it only me that missed the secret that the teacher said, which would explain why this life seems to make no fucking sense? Well, I think I've figured out for myself how people manage to get by. If you want to succeed, there's only one thing you need to get good at in life, and that's lying. Life is like an interview for a job that you don't want. You have to convince those around you that you're not some complete cunt. Yeah, I passed every exam I've sat, mate. I'm qualified to fuck. And if there's something that I don't know, then I'll just make it up. We built this city on bullshit. It's written in our blood. The only truth in every book is that it's been made up. The only things that you know are things that other people told you, and you know they're not on your side. If you want to succeed, there's only one thing you need to get good at in life, and that's lying. Believe you me, there is no need for you to be confused. There is evidence on the internet that proves the moon's a cube. Honesty, it just leaves me emotional and tired. If you want to succeed, there's only one thing you need to get good at in life, and that's lying. The tiny-handed meat puppet made out of ginger pubes banging on about fake news as if it's something new. His word against the prostitutes, mate. I'm surprised she even tried, because you can't become the president without being good at lying. I lent Rupert Murdoch my biro so he could write down the number of Millie Dowler. I said, shouldn't you be in prison, mate? He said, I would be if I played my cards straight, but I'm as crooked as a fucking meat hook, and you'll never catch me doing time, because if there's one thing I've gotten good at in this life, it's fucking lying. And that little girl in the Oxfam adverts, is that a real child actress dressed in rags, or is it a real little African girl struggling to survive, blind with an eye worm? Because surely just the money that it cost to edit it could have bought a shitload of diarrhea medicine. And that's why I'll never buy into advertisements, because regardless of which one is true, it's still a fucking lie. We are so healthy as a species. Thanks to modern science, we've cured so many diseases, yet we are unwell in the mind. As the bullshit started taking its toll upon humankind, perhaps it would seem the human being is not designed to lie. To wear the mask, it drives us mad, but we hold each other up. And if one of us falls through the gaps, we reach down and we cheer them up, and we fill them with prescription drugs and plead with them to try not to stare into the abyss, but to carry on the lie. We patch the cracks of mental illness with dishonesty when the root cause of the problem seems fairly obvious to me. We realise it's all bollocks. We question what we're doing, but we can't have people being honest, because it ruins the illusion of the glorious almighty lie. The one rule of the game, that you were born without a say whether you wanted to play. Bang goes live, you're given a fake name by a stranger who will later turn out to be your creator, a creator who will teach you lies by which to play the game. A wicked trick which over time we learn to imitate. And this pattern is the only truth, but that's what we must do. I'll pretend to be me, you continue to be you. Outside of this, the rest is bullshit, and that is the reason why. If you want to succeed, there's only one thing you need to get good at in life, and that's lying. Cheers. What a poorly made cigarette. Smoking on stage. This takes me back. The benefits of doing a gig in your living room completely on your own. Jesus Christ, this is unusual. So I'm gonna have a little blast of the old fucking machine gun Jack Daniels. Why not? I hope you're enjoying yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do 2 more and then off I shall fuck. Asian raver, totally wasted at midday on the back of the bus. Asian raver, he used to be able to create an Asian raver. Okay, let me just point something out here, because the poem's called Aging Raver. Okay, it's not called Asian Raver. It was pointed out to me that the two do sound remarkably similar, but this isn't a poem about anything as serious as race. Okay, it's a poem about ageism. And, you know, no one really takes ageism seriously, do they? So we can all have a nice chuckle about how we're all going to, you know, get older and rapidly move towards our own demise without having to worry about anything as serious as race. I'm not going there. Aging raver, totally wasted at midday on the back of the bus. Again, I just want to stress, I don't know what your fucking racist little ears heard there, but I did not say that, okay? I said aging raver, totally wasted at midday on the back of the bus. Aging raver used to be able crazy, but these days, he actually is. And the kids all call him Wurzel Gurnage, but he doesn't seem to mind, because tonight he's going to party like it's 1992. A little bit too much of the good stuff when he was young may have marshmallowed his mind. Now he's constantly looking for his dogs that he lost, that actually died in 2005. Aging raver still believes that sleep is a sign of weakness, but the terrible dreams and insomnia means that he'll usually wake up screaming. Aging raver remembers the good old days, the generations of boredom, when we learned patience, because we had to make our own entertainment when we was young, play out with our mates until after dark, illegally gain access to a derelict building, throw a party that lasted for a month and a half, and still have change left over from shilling. Not like these funny looking fashion fascists Adolf hipsters with beards and moustaches, lensless glasses, penny-farthing BMX bandits, fashion-senseless, feckless millennials who like to party sober and celibate, a million miles from the parties of yesteryear, and I've still got the ringing in my ears. He remembers the second summer of love, but he's forgotten how to dance, punching the air and swinging his legs like he thinks he's John Cleese Van Damme. Aging raver, bald and grey. Probably best to keep it shaved these days, mate. Not like your dreadlocks back in the day that looked and smelt like Chewbacca's litter tray. Do you remember when one fell out, crawled away and turned into a butterfly? Bug powder, dust, cocaine, dandruff blew that poor motherfucker sky high. And still, no girl has had the patience to try and hold the reins because he still comes off the rails more often than a Sodor train. Now, that's a joke that I wouldn't have got because I never read the Thomas the Tank Engine books when I was a kid. But I have since read them to my own children, and fuck me, you thought Northern Rail was bad? Do not go to the mythical Isle of Sodor. Honestly, those trains spend most of their time just rolling around in the fucking field. There's actually a book where Thomas drives through the kitchen wall of the Fat Controller's house while he's sat there having breakfast with his family, and that guy's in charge. It is not fucking acceptable. Anyway, I'm waffling. He still comes off the rails more often than a Sodor train. Aging raver. We used to be AWOL crazy, but these days he's more insane than a Japanese game show. Which, if I think about it, is actually a little bit racist towards Asians. Perhaps I shouldn't have assured you so confidently at the start of the poem that that wasn't going to happen, when I obviously knew that that was going to happen. But, you know, I'm sure you enjoyed it, you know. And for such a left-leaning liberal audience as yourselves, no, that's it's refreshing. I, however, didn't laugh at the joke, so I can live with what was said. But can you? I don't know whether you're laughing or whether you're not, but maybe you need to go and have a think about that, because you've got to be careful what you say these days, aging raver. The jokes that you used to make with your mates off your face may no longer work in your favour. And you ain't seen your lightweight mates since they turned middle-aged in 2004, and they bought you a ticket to go and see Keane, and you told them to get to... Oh, come on, what are you talking about? Keane? Are you taking the fucking piss? Perhaps it would seem that ketamine and dinner parties don't mix, shouting, Carver, 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 shouting, white wine, mega, mega, white wine, shh. You wake up the baby dancing around the dinner table in your pants to the most middle-aged, middle-of-the-road music ever made by man. A compilation CD of John Lewis Christmas adverts, a soft acoustic cover version of the Prodigy's No Good Start the Dance that goes, you're no good for me, but I don't need nobody. Fuck me. Forgive me, Keith. Fuck off with your namby-pamby, nondescript, deliberately breathless, wishy-washy bullshit, artless, sexless, ballless fucking bollocks. If you want to write a shit song, go and write one instead of dicking over every decent tune that's ever been written, you talentless pieces of shit. Whatever happened to the stolen car hardcore, the music the dance floor was actually made for, the gaping earhole audio porn, the reason why the baby raver was born, the relentlessly thumping, sugar rushing, primordial bang, oh, the thunk, who'd have thunk that you'd be the last man standing? Cheers. I'm going to be leaving you now, ladies and gentlemen. I think you've heard enough of me. You've probably got, you know, other household activities that you probably wanted to be getting along with. And so I will say good night with this one. So I'll get the strobe back on again for dramatic effect. Why not? It's been lovely. It's been unusual. It's been a bit lonely. But, you know, oh, I've left that light on. Oh, well, that's nice, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, babies and pensioners, leavers, remainers, and illegal aliens, the shipwrecked sailors, the windrush generations, and the flag-waving crackpot patriots. Ladies and gentlemen, the woken awakening, the broken recovering, and the coming undone, the stuttering bigot with the head stuck in a bucket, and the breathless dead handcuffed in the gutter, and the Xbox stealers, all the arms dealers, and every dead baby to have washed up on the beaches. ladies and gentlemen, and the jaded millennials who will not be labelled by their genitals, the masculine feminine with the pierced organs and a 2-foot back tattoo of Piers Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, the straight edge sensible, the occasionally crazy and the genuinely mental, standard Karen and the snowflake gammon, standing up for everything that doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the few and the many, the haves, the have-nots and the 1%, and anybody else I may have missed off the list. You, all of your brothers and sisters, those that we've lost and those that we may be missing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. It's been an unusual pleasure, but a pleasure nonetheless. I'm going to say ta-ta. Cheerio. Happy lockdown too.